This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask with your host, Dr. Judith Briles, on the Rockstar Radio Network. On the show today, you'll find out where book publishing is going and how to take advantage of it. How to identify and avoid publishing predators. What opportunities are emerging as the book trade evolves in new forms. How to avoid losing money, and much, much more. Join us now as a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take the author to the next level of publishing. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by Author U and the Book Shepherd on the Rockstar Radio Network. And now, here's your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, top of the day to everyone. As we go into this new year, and I'm always aware that people listen to this on all this download for our podcast throughout the year, but we're first coming out of the chute here in January, and there's a lot of things that go on with authors. Whether you're brand new in the stage, you've got your book out, it's just coming along, and what do you do with the next level? How do you get out there? How do you become somebody when maybe you were nobody, or maybe just a little mini somebody? Well, with us, we have an amazing author as my guest who birthed her first book last year in 2012, who's sold out her first printing of several thousand copies. And why I want to stress this is that the latest stats coming out from New York are pretty dismal. And I'm not talking about the increased reading in ebooks. That's fine. That's good. That's just another product avenue for you. But I'm talking about how poorly so many authors are doing with books that get published because they think that publishing with New York is the end all, to be all. It's the best of the best. And you're talking to someone who is a former book snob. I used to believe that that's what you had to do. And that's the way you should do it. And I did it 18 times before I woke up and saw, oh, there's another way. There's other options. And maybe I can get some more control. And maybe if I get smart and use a lot of the things I've learned over the last decade plus at that time, that I could actually make some real money in the process, which I proceeded to do. Now, with that said, is that here's the stats, and this is grueling. These are horrible stats. The average New York, this is you and me who are listening. These are not, these mega celebrities. This is not the mega sellers. But the average New York, oh my God, published author sells, listen to this, 250 books, 250 the first year. Lifetime of the book, 3,300. You know what? Maybe you can go on a cruise with the royalties you're going to earn, but you're not going to do much else, and that's on the higher end. So what you've got to do is figure out, how do you move from being Joe or Josephine, first-time author with my book, my beloved book, to from that, maybe I'm a nobody, to how do you be becoming a somebody? That's what this is all about today. And we're talking about branding. How do you really brand and get yourself out there? And I have with me one of my very favorite people. She is the example of what I call what every author needs to practice, to embrace, to get it, the 3 S's. You have to be snappy, you got to be sassy, and you got to be salty. And she brings all of it to the party, and she has taken that and with her branding gone from, I am nobody, I'm just kind of, a few people know me locally, they love me, they cheer for me, they come to my classes locally. But now she is a major international somebody in her niche. So with me is Michelle Marshaldon. She is the author of a hoot of a book called Finding My Life on the Mat, which is really her memoir. She's a yogi. She's known as the Yogi Muse. And you can follow her. And we're going to talk about what's happened in her evolution. I would highly recommend that you all get her book. It's, of course, available on Amazon. She'll talk about her website and that evolution, too. But, Michelle, welcome to your Guide to Book Publishing.
Thank you, Judith.
So how'd you like that for the introduction?
That was really good. Can I take you everywhere I go?
Absolutely. Well, if I'm available. But with that, let's talk about the creation of your book a little bit and what you were doing when you were just local. And Michelle is based out of Denver, Colorado. How do you go about being, local people who are attending your yoga classes to really crashing the scene when your book came out?
Well, I was always a writer. I had been a journalist prior to being a yogi, and so I knew I had the daily discipline of being able to write news for many years. And so I had actually a plan when I published my book. I knew that the thing I was going to have to do was to get myself out there and myself out there in a journalistic way, get my words seen. As a yoga teacher, there's a lot of competition as a teacher. I mean, there's probably thousands. Actually, the statistics are 10,000 people go through yoga teacher training every year in the United States. And so I didn't think I could build a brand as perhaps the best teacher. Maybe I could. I don't know. But it would be unlikely. But I knew I could be the best writer and the best, or one of the very strongest voices in yoga journalism. So as soon as we published Finding More on the Mat, How I Grew Better, Wiser, and Stronger Through Yoga.
Oh, I said the wrong title. Finding More on the Mat.
I just thought I'd get the right one out there.
Oh, no, but that's really a good idea. And, I have to tell, here's a confession, that every time I display Michelle's book, when I'm out talking with groups about publishing and that, it disappears. I mean, it walks off the table. And
I'll have to get you some more.
I'm so irritated. I mean, I just went out to grab it before we went on, and I said, oh, my God. Okay, go ahead.
So my plan all along was, how do I get my writing out there? How do I create a blog?
I've lost you.
How do I create a brand for myself that would be instantly recognizable? And there's a lot of online newspapers today. There's the Huffington Post, the Daily Beast. There's, but in my particular niche, which is yoga, there's a newspaper called the Elephant Journal, which is by far the largest circulation. It has 1 million readers per month now, and they're unique sign-ons. And so I knew that was the venue I'd have to be seen in. And so the first thing I did after publication was I set about writing columns, writing blogs, and writing as good as I could until I could get noticed by the Elephant Journal.
And so was that was a distinct goal then for the Elephant Journal to get their attention?
Well, I have what's called a vision board, where I put on a board at the beginning of every year what it is where I'd like to be and what I'd like to accomplish and what's going to happen. And in 2011, my vision board was to finish my memoir and my book, which I was able to do, just at the end of the year. But for 2012, at the end of 2011, my vision board was to get a column accepted by the Elephant Journal, because I had been trying. I had been submitting, and they just weren't being picked up. According to the Elephant Journal, they get between 50 and 100 submissions a day. And, they only put up, they have 5 top blogs of the day. And so you have to be 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 100 to get noticed and to get put up. And I just couldn't get on there. So my goal for 2012 was to simply be published. When that happened the first week of the year, that happened in January. Mm-hmm. And then after being published, I dared to dream big. And I thought, well, what would it take to become a columnist? And I was a columnist 3 weeks later.
And there was a consequence. You being picked the Elephant Journal that happened to your website, right?
Right. So what happened, the way I actually got on the Elephant Journal was I had a little dispute with one of the local stores. It's a store or a provider of clothing called Lululemon Athletica. And it was funny because I'm one of the top teachers in Denver, and I'm very popular. And the store had asked me to teach for them several times to do it for free. And they always would come to my class and tell me that I was a great teacher. But every month I would see they would make people in town what they call ambassadors, which is a kind of a goodwill ambassador of their brand, but never me. And so I asked them one time what was wrong with me, and they couldn't give me a real answer, but I understood that the answer was that I was too old. So I wrote a blog that said, Dear Lululemon, what about older ambassadors, since we practice yoga too? And it went viral. I'm talking over 10,000 reads in one day, crashed my site, and it really got the attention of the Elephant Journal. That's what brought me to their notice in the first place.
Well, and so when it came to you, my understanding is your website went berserk.
My website not only crashed, but the host provider crashed too. Nobody anticipated that an unknown author, an unknown person, in December, nobody except for I have a few hundred students here in Denver, that nobody would anticipate that I'd have more than 2,000 hits in a month, and I had 10,000 or 12,000 in a day. So that brought it down. But this is what I realized, Judith. I realized that this was my 15 minutes, and this was going to be my opportunity if I was going to get on the Elephant Journal again. So I had written in anticipation that the expansion would come. That's a yoga term. But in anticipation that I'd be ready, I had written about 8 or 10 blogs, and they were in my computer and ready to go. And so I said to myself, all right, I'm at the top of the yoga world for 15 minutes. I have to come out with the best blog, the best thing that I have. And I came out with thank you is the new FU. I gave it to the Elephant Journal, and they passed on it. They didn't put it up. So I put it up the next day, and I got another round, probably 5,000 to 7,000 hits I got on that within the week. Well, the editor of the Elephant Journal called me, and he said, his name is Waylon Lewis, and he said, why didn't you give thank you to us? And I said, oh, Waylon. I said, I did, but I don't wait for any man, and certainly not for 48 hours, so I published it myself. And that's how I became a columnist.
All right, and so with that, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. You can hear why Michelle is snappy, sassy, and salty. And we'll be back right back with your guide to book publishing with lots more. I'm Judith Briles.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Is there a book in you or another? Author U will show you how to create, develop, and publish your book without being hoodwinked. If you already have a book out, you'll find a supportive and brainstorming community that's connected and creative no matter where you live. Author U brings in national experts for its book camps and annual author extravaganza held each May. It has regular meetings and delivers webinars for its members on timely topics. Through Author U's extensive network, members enjoy exclusive benefits, including significant discounts for a variety of services necessary to publishing. The Resource, its online book publishing news magazine, is content-heavy and it's free. If you want to create a book that has pizzazz, punch, and panache, Author U is for you. If you're a hobbyist or a casual author, it's not. Join Author U today through its website at authoru.org. Follow Author U on Twitter at AuthorU and on Facebook at Author U, where timely author and publishing tips and articles are posted daily. Author U, where the author goes to become seriously successful.
Do you sell stuff? Do you want to sell books? Lots of them? If yes, you must take credit cards, the most widely used form of payment today. The Free Terminal has created a special program for your guide to book publishing listeners. No contract. All equipment is free. Extremely low rates and no termination fees ever. Contact Alan Dean at alan@thefreeterminal.com or call him at 303-668-6828. The Free Terminal has handled all credit card transactions for both author you and Judith for over a year. Don't wait another day. Contact Alan at thefreeterminal.com or call 303-668-6828 and tell him you want the no-contract author you deal.
Every picture tells a story. And it's a truism that people do judge a book by its cover. Nick Sellinger and NZ Graphics have been in the business of producing superior graphic cover design and interior layout for self-published authors, independent and traditional publishers for years. He has developed a reputation for excellent work, fast turnarounds, and best of all, affordable pricing. NZ Graphics also produces ebooks and book marketing materials such as posters, sell sheets, postcards, bookmarks, business cards, logos, and more. Books designed for his clients have won multiple book awards, including Best Book Award by U.S. Book News, multiple Evie Awards from the Colorado Independent Publishers Association, Indie Book Awards, the San Francisco Book Festival Award, and Freedom Medal Award from Valley Forge. Visit www.nzgraphics.com or call 303-985-4174 for more details about making your book the success it should be. Mention that you are an FOJ, friend of Judith's, and that you heard about NZ Graphics on your guide to book publishing.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask on the Rockstar Radio Network. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
My guest, fabulous guest, is Michelle Marchedon, who is the author of the fabulous memoir that if you want to see how to do a memoir and really bring it in, get great copy out, hook and hooking. And a lot of authors do start off wanting to write their story. And I always tell them, well, who cares what you're following? Well, Michelle had a following and started it, but she got a far bigger following. The book is called Finding More on the Mat, and you can get it via Amazon, certainly. And I'm assuming through your website, too, Michelle?
Yes, you can get it at my website, and it's also being distributed nationwide in bookstores these days.
All right, so you can, if they've sold out of her book, they can look it up and certainly order it in and get it. So with that, before we move on, we have to find out the rest of the story, because Michelle was sharing that she had written this outrageous blog that FU was the new thank you, and the head of the Elephant Journal was saying, how come you didn't give it to us? And she said, well, contraire, you had the first chance and you kind of let it go. So tell us the rest of the story.
So when I had submitted what I call thank you, when I had submitted it to Waylon, I had put on my email, you have 48 hours to decide on this blog. And he passed on it, or he didn't realize, or he didn't notice it. These big newspapers like the Huffington Post and Elephant Journal and the Daily Beast and Scope, all these big papers or Slate on the internet, they get a lot of submissions, and you have to find a way to stand out. You have to find a way to be noticed. It's just like anything else when you're selling a book. You have to be very unique in your offering. So I sent my blog in. I felt it was the best one I had at the time, which was called Thank You is the New FU. And what that means is that when you really want to tell somebody off and you really want to be mad and scream at them, but if you can find a way to say thank you instead, then you've truly become a yogi. You've truly found the yoga or the purpose of, being a little more even-tempered in life. So I wrote this hilarious blog where I mentioned some of the people I really need to say thank you to, including my mother-in-law, and my children at times. And it went wild. People loved it. So then the editor of the Elephant Journal contacted me, and he said, hey, why didn't you give us this blog? And I said, au contraire, I did give it to you. You didn't pick it up for 48 hours. And I said to him, Waylon, I wait for no man, certainly not for 48 hours. And so it was right after that he made me he said, what do I need to do to make sure that I get your blogs first? And I said, you need to make me a columnist. And I was made a columnist.
And so how often do you write for the Elephant Journal?
I write once a week. I try to upload every Sunday night for a Monday morning blog. You know, it's very interesting on the internet. There are certain days that have larger readerships. The largest readership is a Wednesday, and the second largest day is Saturday. And I don't understand it. I don't know why people sign on to newspapers on Wednesdays versus Tuesday or a Thursday. Or a Sunday, I don't know, but the data indicates that Wednesday and Saturday are the biggest readerships. But I tried uploading on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and I wasn't getting the large number of reads. It turns out from my particular niche, which I have always felt as an older, my market is more like 30 to 60, I would say, 30 to 60 or 30 to 70. Older, yogi, and probably female, but I've been surprisingly popular with men. So that market seems to tune in to me on Mondays. And unless it was breaking news, and I have done some breaking news, and the blog I uploaded this Monday actually went live on Sunday afternoon, and by Monday morning it had 5,000 reads, which is a very big number for just a regular news blog. My blog this week was on the tragedy in India where a young woman was raped and then was murdered or was killed from abstaining from her injuries. Right. People were outraged, and they should be. And so I wrote a blog on that, and it's currently near 7,000 reads, which is a very big blog for the newspaper.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So when he signed you on immediately, and then are you writing for any other blogs, or is that an exclusive when you do something like that?
Oh, that's a very good question. Sometimes newspapers do have you to be exclusive, and sometimes they don't. Now, the Elephant Journal pays me, and I'm rewarded generously. Because, frankly, I think he just has a crush on me, and you could let him know. But, I'm kidding, of course. But, I'm paid by the Elephant Journal, so he makes it worth my while to not go and write somewhere else, because many of these online newspapers, like the Huffington Post, do not pay. However, I've also been, since then, I have written for My Yoga Online, which has, gosh, I wish I knew the exact number, but they have I'm thinking it's over 1 million subscribers internationally for yoga. I've written for My Yoga Online. I've written for Teach Asana, which is a newspaper specifically geared for yoga teachers, which is my market for my second book. And that was on my vision board as well, was to get on yoga teacher specific websites, because my next book is for that group, and that would target it perfectly. And I've also, I've been asked to write for the yoga blog as well, these are the three largest blogs that exist. And then in the hard copy world, or the real world, I've now been made a columnist for Origin magazine, which is available at Whole Foods and at Barnes & Noble and at some of the larger magazine retailers in the U.S.
Okay, so here's what's really important for our listeners to understand, that you have a distinct niche, which was the yoga world. But what you've done is you've drilled down into it. And for the Elephant Journal, which gets read by a gazillion people in a variety of different areas, it may not be as narrow as the yoga teacher and some of the others. But you've done that drilling down, and you keep doing that. And the type of things that you would do for them may not have the flavor or you wouldn't be writing about the woman who was raped and then murdered in India for the yoga journal. You would be doing some other things. And for the when you're going into the teaching side, that you're going to be getting into techniques. Since I have an understanding of what your next book is about, you're going to get into some other techniques of setting things up. So they're connected, but there's a disconnect in the same way, and that's really the value of what you've done. That with your branding, you've developed that whatever I do, it's going to have quality to it. That secondly, that whatever I do, that it's going to have a flavor. You have a personality in your writing, and a lot of writers, a lot of authors are almost afraid to let their personality, their saltiness, their snappiness, their sassiness come out. And the reality is that's what a lot of people want, to catch in. And you've learned the real skill of putting things out that you can do, hey, you, I got something for you. Come see. And hey, you might want to pay attention to this, which is all really critical in the branding formula.
Yes, you have to find a way to stand out. In yoga, it was really, I had a big education this year in terms of, my branding and in terms of the whole yoga world. I had been kind of naive where I was on my mat and, I always knew the benefits of yoga. My memoir talks about the benefits and what an incredible transformation I had. I was a frustrated, I'm not going to say an unhappy housewife, but I was a very frustrated housewife. I had been somebody in the corporate world, and I came home to be what I considered to be a nobody. Now, of course, I know that the hand that rocks the cradle is the mightiest hand of all, but I didn't feel that way, having had such a vibrant career prior to children. And so I knew that yoga was my transformation, but I didn't understand what the yoga world was like from a marketing and business perspective. But there really wasn't what you call a salty voice in it. There really wasn't a person who would have a little fun, who would laugh their way to enlightenment, who was the Irma Bombeck of the mat. Most people were very serious, very namaste and light and love, and it was very almost fake in the nicey niceness. And so when I came out with this big voice of thank you is the new F you and Lululemon, maybe what's wrong with me, I actually had made a song that went with that blog that was sung to the tune of Oh Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes Benz? But it was Oh Lord, won't you make me a Lulu ambassador? And when people,
all right.
I know. And so when people started to read this blog.
All right, we're going to come back on that. And I haven't heard about the Mercedes song, so she's going to enlighten us. I'm Judith Briles. You're listening to Your Guide to Book Publishing. We'll be right back.
This is Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Since 1987, Color House Graphics has set the standard for quality book production. Whether you decide to print a small quantity of books or need a large print run, depend on Color House to help you. You'll receive professional help and advice the moment you reach one of our representatives. If you mention hearing about us on Your Guide to Book Publishing with Judith Briles, we will provide you a discount on the first order you place. To speak with a project manager, call us toll-free at 800-454-1916 or visit us at www.colorhousegraphics.com.
Do you need postcards that make a statement? How about business cards, flyers, brochures, or NCR forms? Tuvets is the solution for all your printing needs. Providing services specially designed for authors, we deliver exceptional quality colored printing. Most important of all, we specialize in reducing your printing costs. No more waiting. No more standing in lines at your local printer. Online proofing. With our Pricing Tools calculator, you can get instant quotes on all your printing products, as well as shipping rates all over the United States. Just a few clicks of the mouse and you're on the way to discovering how easy and convenient online color printing should be. Contact our friendly, human account representatives. We recognize that you want answers, not voice prompts. Visit our website at www.tu-vets.com or call 1-800-894-8977.
When Ned Thompson and Harry Shore started Thompson Shore in 1972, they believed employees with great character would make up the best company. They were right. They hired people who were not only experts in bookmaking, but who were obsessed with quality and delivering exceptional customer service. Almost 40 years later, Thompson Shore remains a 100% employee-owned company. Ned and Harry knew that successful customer projects are a direct result of empowered employees. We specialize in all books for large and small publishers. Creating beautiful and well-made books, we're dedicated to pleasing our customers by making the experience a good one from start to finish. The personal touch we have with our customers allows us to be innovative in solving their most difficult challenges. Our platform also ensures that we can remain flexible to meet our customers' unique needs and expectations. Our marketing kit can create buzz for your title, enhancing the promotion of your book during infancy. When you need to test the market to gauge your future sales, we can provide digitally printed books that will transition seamlessly into a larger offset run. From ebook to hard copy to delivery, our skillful customer service teams are at the ready to answer your most pressing question. At Thompson Shore, we know that making the highest quality books requires more than just best technologies. It requires superior customer service, professionalism to the trade, and commitment to environmental and social values. With these standards of excellence in place, you can be sure that we will always help you put your best book forward.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask on the Rockstar Radio Network. Coming up, you'll hear more about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, as we always do during the hour I'm with you, I always like to bring on one of our sponsors. And with us today is Charlie Tlapa, and Charlie is with Total Printing Systems. And one of the things I really like about Total Printing, and they just did a job for one of my Book Shepherd clients, is that they have such a fast turnaround time in getting to it. They create quality books, and they can also, they do two things that I like. They can do really small numbers if we want to do some testing on some things before we go with a bigger run. And they also are one of the few printers out here who do ARCs, and ARCs or ARCs are the advanced reader copies, and which are becoming really rare. They're more in time if you're going after reviews, especially with major journals ahead of time that need 4 and 5, they can pop them out and get them there. So Charlie, welcome to your Guide to Book Publishing.
Hi, Judith. Thanks for having me back. I just want to say that we're all really excited about participating again this year in the Author U Extravaganza, and we look forward to seeing you there, and it's always one of our most successful events of the year.
Oh, fabulous. So for our listeners, May 2 to 4, you want to get your body to Denver, Colorado. You can get information if you just go to author, A-U-T-H-O-R, and the letter U.org, and just click on the extravaganza, because Charlie and 30 other national exhibitors that represent a variety of things will be there, plus fabulous, fabulous speakers. Okay, Charlie, so what's new at Total Printing Systems?
Well, you know, we have been in business 40 years producing books in all varieties for individuals and companies, and do everything from a standard single-color reference type book all the way to photography books and cookbooks. Right. We do offer copies as well as 20 copies and up. And in some cases, in sales pitch, we're competitive all the way into the 50,000 range. But the short one is definitely where most of our work is done at, whether it's single color or full color. We offer all binding styles, whether it's saddle stitch or perfect bound or the new PUR binding. We also specialize in short run piece bound or hardcover work. A lot of our runs might be a couple hundred perfect bound books, and they might want 10 or 15 that are case bound. So we do split runs. We offer all binding styles, all done in-house. And like I said, it's been very good for us in the short run business. We also are one of the few printers that offer digital web printing. We have sheet-fed toner presses, and we also offer the new digital webs. And the digital webs are an inkjet system, and they offer a high resolution. And with the new papers that are available now, whether it's opaque or matte or even a nano stock, we're printing on digital inkjet. And that, being a web press and the speed that it offers, it's quite economical to produce a book in single or multicolor using that press. And the quality and the cost is very effective.
And that's really good news to know. Charlie is traveling remote. He's out on job, so he may be a little garbled. So this is what I want to tell our listeners: you can get quickly 2 ways to get further information. You can go to the authoru.org website. If you click on Premier Partner, the tab that says Premier Partner, there is a full page with information and how to connect directly with Charlie and get more information. Also, Charlie, what is the website for Total Printing Systems?
Total Printing Systems is tps1.com.
Okay, so TPS, the number 1, TPS1.com. Thanks so much, Charlie, and look forward to seeing you in May.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye. All right, so, Michelle, let's come back to, I'm not going to ask you to sing on the air the Mercedes song. We won't do that.
Your listeners will thank you.
Hey, I can write, but I don't have the gift for singing either. But that one of the key things, and Brand, if you've been closely listening, we have a really premier yoga here, or yogi, and she's known as the Yogi Muse, and that is her website. So it's YOGIMUSE.com, and you can find out a lot more and click and follow her on Facebook. But what I want to do is get into some of the other branding things she's done, because there's offshoots that happen, and I also want to get into this thing called the unique voice. How do you really know what it is? How do you discover it? How do you expand on it? How do you build on it? And maybe how do you not blow people away and scare them as you found your power of that unique voice, which is a good question, I think, Michelle.
That's a very good question, and I don't have the answer to it, because I was very surprised when I kind of came on the scene at how much pushback I had, and I can't honestly tell you. I can't honestly tell you if it was because there were many people struggling for years and years to get the kind of audience I had, seemingly overnight. And that didn't sit well with some people. And I understand that. I understand that completely. But what I want everyone to realize is that there are no overnight success stories. I went to Columbia University, Graduate School of Journalism. I was a working journalist before most of these yogis were born. I was a writer and a journalist, and I was writing for outlets, major newspapers and magazines in the 80s, in the late 70s and the 80s. And so I didn't come out of nowhere. I certainly had earned it. It's just that they hadn't seen it. And so it appeared as if I had come out of nowhere. So there was that to contend with, and there was some pushback from that. And again, like I say, I'm sensitive to it, but I also understand that my voice, my writing voice, answered a real need. I can't tell you how many emails I received from people who were saying, thank God, a real voice in yoga. Meaning that so many people are selling enlightenment. They're selling, I will give you happiness, follow me. I will make you peaceful. If you read my blog and buy my book, I will bring you joy and happiness and riches. But I never offered that. I was a real voice. I was self-deprecating. I could make fun of myself falling in a pose. I could see the beauty of others trying. And I think people were so relieved to have a real voice, a real person who cursed, who laughed, who cried, and who didn't pretend to be anything other than exactly what I am.
which is very powerful. And going back to the naysayers and the people who are envious, and they're not, it's not jealous. Jealous is about relationships. Envious is when you have something that they covet. And so you had positioning, such as this is what my doctorate works in, but you're positioning in, and one of the things that happens when someone makes it, so dear author who's listening, when you make it, when you start selling books, when you start getting recognition, when you start having people calling you, please come speak to our group, whatever it is that success ratio starts doing it, I'm going to tell you that those naysayers are going to come out of the woodwork here. And the critics are unbelievable, and it has everything to do with envy. Just understand that.
It's very funny because I sat with you, you helped me publish my book, and I'm forever grateful, and you told me that. You told me that this was going to happen and to get ready. Mm-hmm. And I actually thought you were wrong, and I will never think that about you again because it happened within 4 months.
It does. And
it sure did.
It hurts. It hurts a little bit. And then you realize that, you just have to let it roll off your shoulders.
I do want to say this, though. There was a music show, maybe it was one of these People's Choice Awards that Justin Bieber was at recently. And I know this because I have teenagers, but when he got an award, he received this award, and when he stood up, he said, I want to thank my haters because they never thought I'd be here. And it's so interesting to me because I receive probably as much hate mail as I receive votes of confidence on my blogs. The Elephant Journal has an open forum. You can comment on it. And it was interesting. I used to get a lot. And in fact, one of the most contested blogs that I wrote was called, I know you're all waiting with bated breath, it was called What to Wear to a Yoga Conference, where I made fun a little bit of, this is a yoga conference, and so I was wondering, what should I wear? Should I wear a matching outfit, but then I might look too concerned with the material? Should I look unmatched, but then I might look like a mess? It was a complete comedic, funny, light look, and I was crucified in the comments for not being yogic. And that really turned things around for me because what my haters don't understand is that hate or love, the number of reads and comments is what puts you on the front page of the newspaper. So I was always on the top of the newspaper from my haters. So I would like to take a moment, like Justin Bieber said, and thank them now.
And since I've never been a hater, I can't say you're welcome. But with that said, that I think it's very important. We're going to come into our final break here, and we'll come back and get into more of those branding areas. But people really need to understand controversy always sells. It's your best friend. I'm Judith Briles. We're with Michelle Marshall-Don. We'll be right back.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Do you sell stuff? Do you want to sell books? Lots of them? If yes, you must take credit cards, the most widely used form of payment today. The free terminal has created a special program for your guide to book publishing listeners. No contract, all equipment is free, extremely low rates, and no termination fees ever. Contact Alan Dean at alan@thefreeterminal.com or call him at 303-668-6828. The free terminal has handled all credit card transactions for both author you and Judith for over a year. Don't wait another day. Contact Alan at thefreeterminal.com or call 303-668-6828 and tell him you want the no contract author you deal.
The book shepherding concept is simple. The publishing world is changing, and so must you. You need an experienced shepherd and a guide to partner with you as you create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve your publishing goals. You can't do it alone without paying the price. You can spend your money creating a book that turns out to be so-so, or you can create a book that looks and feels classy, builds your brand, and is a financial success, a bestseller. It's your choice. You choose. You need the book shepherd. Publishing is riddled with obstacles, sometimes nightmares for the author. You don't need problems. You want solutions. Dr. Judith Briles will shepherd you through the maze and the chaos. At times, she's had to step in and rescue a book that has been sabotaged by a publisher or by a publishing service provider or sometimes even the author themselves. Judith Briles is the book shepherd if you want to create a book with no regrets. Give her a call today, 303-885-2207. That's 303-885-2207, or email her at judith@briles.com. By the way, Briles is spelled B-R-I-L-E-S. Follow Judith on Twitter at MyBookShepherd and on Facebook at The Book Shepherd.
At Total Printing Systems, customer service is our priority. We are located in Southern Illinois. Our employees have an average of 18 years experience and know that customer relationships are important to our continued success. We have been a short-run book printer for nearly 40 years and always stay at the forefront of technology. Our niche is from 1 to 5,000 copies. Today, we offer digital, black and white, and 4-color high-speed inkjet printing, a cost-effective way to introduce color into your short-run titles. We, of course, offer traditional offset printing as well. Bindery is done in-house, from adhesive case binding to PUR perfect binding to mechanical binding of all types, including side sewing. We provide warehousing, kitting, distribution, inventory management, a new print-on-demand facility, streaming browser-based ebooks, and bookstore. Call us at 1-800-465-5200 for a quote on your next book project. You can also visit our website at www.tps1.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask on the Rockstar Radio Network. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, in this last segment, these shows always go so fast. I want to make sure that we cover, because as someone who has written a lot of books and been out here for a while, that you think you have a great idea, you think you have it all together, you think you've got your unique voice, you think your brand is bang right in place, and there's a hiccup along the way. So we want to ask Michelle about maybe some of the hiccups that she's had in there. And also, I think it's absolutely appropriate to really find out, so how did she come up with her branding? And she's got a new book coming out, and how that ties in. Is it linked to her first book? And I'll give you a hint. Yeah, it is. But the other side is that, so where does it expand? Because it does take her really fully into another area. So, Michelle, let's go with that. What are some of the hiccups?
Well, that's a great question, because when I published my first book, I was on a deadline because I had a very popular conference coming up, and I knew that would be important for me. So, and I wished I had gone back and been more careful about my branding, and I worked with a professional, and I wish I had given it some more thought. But as it is in life, I threw it together, because often life just happens and not particularly on our schedule. And so I looked into the mirror, and I just said over and over, what am I doing and why am I teaching? And I teach yoga to help other people find more on the mat. That was the title of my first book. I wanted people to find their potential. I wanted to rediscover what was inside us that had been asleep all along. I wanted to feel young again, and I wanted to feel vibrant. I wanted people to understand that yoga was a path to more, and that I was not just a yogi, but a muse. I was a writer. I was a journalist. And those are parts of my personality that had always been really a key identifier for myself. I always thought of myself as a writer. I went to Columbia. I went to a writing school. I was a journalist. And so when I put all those things together, I came up with the Yogi Mother Muse. And my website, and it's going to be changed very shortly, but it still says the Yogi Mother Muse. And then I went off and published the book, which was for primarily mothers and people who were, looking for more out of life. And I got some very valuable feedback. I went and taught in November up north, a little part of Colorado called Boulder, and a person said to me, you should drop the mother. And I thought, are you kidding me? I think mothers are the key target audience for me because I'm a mother. And I theme about my children, and I talk to other mothers, and mothers relate to me, and I relate to mothers, and I get mothers, and they get me. And he said, it was a man, he's been an expert in marketing for years, he said, it's not serving you. He said, you're bigger than that. He said, you are, you're very sharp, and you're still very sexy, and you're still well-spoken, and you are limiting yourself with the mother thing. You can go bigger. And so I took the mother out, and I became the Yogi Muse, and I think it was absolutely the right thing to do. In fact, the earliest readers of my book were men, and they loved it, and they wrote in on Amazon, they wrote reviews, and they wrote reviews on the Elephant Journal, and they wrote reviews on my website that they just loved the book, and I was so glad to be wrong.
Well, and that's, I had a similar experience because I was writing money books for women. You know, my very first book was A Woman's Guide to Financial Savvy, and I did several other books. And I had a man come up to me one time, and the woman was in it, and he actually had blacked out "whoa," and it had "man," and he said, "You are so much more. You need to write for all of us." So eventually, the last money book I wrote was Money Smarts for Turbulent Times. So that's the kind of thing. I mean, that's really sage advice. Those are these evolutions that we go to. And so what you're talking about is branding. What you think is your brand isn't always.
And what was the other part that was a hiccup, and I'm sad to say it, but I'm not going to accept that it's a hiccup. But right after my dear editor branded me the Irma Bombeck of the mat, I went down to a yoga conference in Arizona, and I was in a room of about 30 or 40 people, and we were talking about our branding, and I said, I'm the Irma Bombeck of the mat, and not one person in the room knew who Irma Bombeck was. And I realized, well, of course, I am the oldest one here. These people were born in 1970. So they didn't remember her wonderful days of writing as a columnist. Mm-hmm. And so I've kept that as, part of who I am, and I keep that on my bio on the Elephant Journal and in columns. But I am aware that I'm appealing to an audience that is simply younger these days. And so I've sort of tucked that in the back of my mind as I go forward.
Yeah, so I mean, you have to do those kind of things, and it's just that people who decide not to be chemically dependent like women on our hair, that decide, okay, I'm going to let the silver come through. Someone said, so how would you describe yourself? And I said, I'm kind of like the silver fox.
Oh.
And they said, oh, I get that, because I decided I didn't want to color my hair anymore. But with that, let's step away from that. So how did you come up with your, we're into branding a little bit, but you're moving on to it. And how does that tie in with, you've got a brand new book. You're in layout on it right now, working on the cover design on it. And it is different, and yet it's connected.
Yes, that's so good of you to ask. So my new book is called Theme Weaver, How to Connect the Power of Inspiration to Teaching Yoga, or Connect the Power of Inspiration to Teaching Yoga. And I'm so excited about this because, we never know in our journey where it is that we're supposed to go. And I started as a writer, I started as a journalist, and I thought that was really what my so-called destiny or dharma was supposed to be, was to be a journalist. But then I left journalism for many reasons, and I became a yoga teacher and a yogi. And so then this book is finally able to combine both parts of my journey and both aspects of my background, my ability to write and craft a theme and then teach others how to weave that through their own classes. What I'm so excited about is that there's no other book like this on the market today. And I specifically wanted to hold on to it and not publish it traditionally because I know my market. And the more you know your market and the more your market knows you, the more successful that you will be. And so I'm so looking forward to bringing this book out in just a few weeks here and having it available for teachers everywhere. The heart of the book of how to know how to theme and be a great yoga teacher is how do you know you? And that comes down to the secret of branding. If you can brand yourself, if you know what your unique offering is, if you know exactly what it is that you offer to your students that nobody else can offer, then you will be a terrific theme weaver. And that's exactly true for book publishing. If you know your message, if you know how you're different from every other author, if you know how your offering can light somebody's life up, then you can sell your book better than anybody else can.
Well, and that I have said in several previous shows that, you know, one of the old, and it's a myth, money makes the world go round. That is a myth. It's problems that make the world go round. And when you as the author, and for you as the Yogi Muse, when you identify what problems, for example, your teachers, which you've done in this new book, what problems that they are encountering of not being an effective teacher, not being an effective communicator, not being an effective demonstrator, not being effective fill in the blank, that you are so ahead of the game. So incredibly ahead of the game. And that's really where branding comes in, that when you come in and create that brand, that people recognize that you are a solution giver. You are a problem solver. You know, the world is your oyster.
That's exactly right, Judith. And so that's why I'm so excited about this new book because it really has been perceived as a problem. It really has been perceived as, if not a problem, then certainly an area where teachers don't have confidence. And I can put the weight in their seat. I can give them confidence on how to teach from their heart, from their most authentic place. And then, you know, after this book comes out, my goal is that we will offer a second edition that's for teachers of any kind of inspirational exercise anywhere. So it wouldn't just be for yoga, but if you have a Taibo teacher, if you have a Soul Cycle has very inspirational classes. At my own health club, a lot of the teachers that teach, you know, even just exercise classes are trying to reach into people and get them inspired to keep going more than just, you know, do another 10 reps. The days of doing another 10 reps are over. We're the most obese country in the world. It's do the next 10 reps for the people you love. That's what's going to get us going.
All right. And so doing the next 10 reps to complete your book, to get your marketing plan together, to really think about your branding. Thank you so much, Michelle, for being with us. Go to her website, theyogimuse.com, and certainly go to authoru.org. We want to see you here in Denver, Colorado for the Author U Extravaganza. I'm Judith Briles. Have a great evening.
Thank you for being a part of Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles.